barbecue family. This is Kenyatta Robinson. Welcome to the What's Smoking podcast. Thank you for joining me on this Friday evening. So, I want to start off today just by talking about my recent trip. I went to Central Texas. My family went down there to visit my brother and sister in law. They had moved from Southern California to New Braunfels, which is about halfway between Austin and San Antonio. They moved there a few years ago, and we finally made it down there. And just knowing that, how close that they are to a lot of well-known barbecue places in that area, I thought it would be the perfect opportunity for me to check out, some authentic Texas barbecue in the flesh. I've been hearing a lot about it, especially Franklin's barbecue. So I was really excited to get the opportunity to see what that experience was all about. So I'm going to start off today just kind of talking about some of the barbecue restaurants that I did visit while I was there. Welcome you guys to put in your comments in the chat, ask questions. Definitely want to make this as interactive as possible. So we got there last week. Hey, Wayne, thanks for joining. We got there last week and just started off going to some different places. The first place that we went to actually is not a barbecue place. It's a place called Bucky's. Bucky's is the way they kept describing it to me is that Bucky's is like kind of like a 7-Eleven. But they kept talking about it because it's a really large kind of a, I don't even know, what do you classify 7-Eleven as? I guess it's like not a market, but kind of like a fast mart type place, a convenience store. That's what 7-Eleven is basically. It's like a convenience store. You all know it. You go there, you get your ices and chips, sodas, beer, just real convenient, located all over the country. And they kept talking about this place, Bucky's, and I kept thinking, okay, big deal. Why is this our first visit? Well, we got in there and actually learned that Bucky's is nothing like 7-Eleven. First thing I see when I walk in, I look over to the left, and this is kind of emblematic of you know how serious they take barbecue in Texas. Um, Let me see if I can pull up Wayne's comment here. Yeah, Bucky's is pretty cool. We have stopped there before when vacationing in Texas. Yeah, very cool. So I walk into Bucky's, look over to my left. First off, the place is huge. I mean, it's like the one that we were in New Braunfels had to be, I don't know, 5 times as large as 7-Eleven, or that any 7-Eleven that I've ever seen. So probably, considerably larger. So I look over to the left and they have a full on barbecue section, with, rubs. They're selling a couple of grills, smokers, barbecue sauce, specialty honey, just all types of things. So, I mean, if you were wanting to go to like a barbecue specialty place, I mean, this place had, about as many rubs as I've seen. Like when I go to my local Ace Hardware, they even had some brands on the shelf that I have not seen in person, like Suckle Busters. They had some Hay Grill hay rubs. So I was, pretty impressed, right from the get go. You walk further into the store and, they're selling barbecue, right there in the middle of the store. You can get brisket, pulled pork. So I don't know if that stuff is any good, but I was just kind of blown away that, that all of this stuff was readily available, right from the get go. So then moving on, that was my Buc-ee's experience. But the first authentic barbecue place that we visited was Black's. Let me see if I'm trying to pull up my notes here because I wanted to do this while this was all fresh in my mind. Now, Black's was also in New Braunfels, and I think that they also have a few other restaurants in the Central Texas area as well. So at Black's, I made it a point, at every restaurant that we were going to stop at, I wanted to make a point of making sure that I tried their brisket, because when I think about Texas barbecue, of course, beef is king in Texas, cattle. So I figure, anywhere I go, any barbecue restaurant in um, in Central Texas, I got to see how the brisket compares. Hey, Carl, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your support. Let's see, you say I helped you pick your first Kamado in the Weber Summit, and getting ready to do your first brisket of the year. So definitely, Weber Summit Kamado. Um, I still think that bang for your buck if you're looking to get into smoking meat and just the overall versatility of the Summit Kamado. Definitely highly recommend the Weber Summit Kamado because of that versatility. You can do grilling at high temperatures, you can do low and slow smoking. Definitely very, very versatile. Hey, Adam, thanks for tuning in. Always appreciate your support as well. But getting back to my experience there at Black, so I did order their brisket. Got the basically there that you have it. They give you the options. You can get like the fatty, you can get the lean. So I went with the. I tried both, but I was really curious about the fatty, and it was great. I mean, it basically tasted the way brisket should taste. Um, they also have their own pepper sauce that I thought was outstanding, and it really complemented the brisket really well. Um, Also ordered a sausage. I believe it was like a 80% pork, 20% beef sausage, I believe. It was pretty mild. It had good taste. So, it was very, very good. Blacks, definitely, it was pretty much what I would expect, from any, good barbecue place. And after that experience, I was thinking, yeah, this is really good. And what I came away with actually was thinking that my own brisket that I cook at home, I felt like was pretty much, and I don't want to brag, but I felt like it was pretty much on the level with the barbecue that I was experiencing at Black's. So it was just kind of helping me know that, what I'm doing on my own is pretty much on the right track. So I, was feeling pretty good about that. And of course, I was curious then to see, again, how that would compare to other places. Hey, Mick Cotton Barbecue. Of course, I always appreciate your support as well. So thanks for tuning in to the live. Wayne says, I've been to the New Braunfels area several times. Oh, one of his timeshares is there. Yeah, very nice. I've been to Louisiana. I have relatives in Louisiana, primarily in the northwestern part of the state, outside of Shreveport. So I kind of had a thought in mind about, what to expect in terms of just the overall feel of Texas. But I will say Central Texas was a lot different than kind of my preconceived notions. It was hot. I mean, that definitely met my expectations. I mean, it was hot from sunrise to sunset, never get much relief in terms of that, the temperatures. But it wasn't humid. I guess in that part of the state, not nearly as humid as what I was expecting. And also, New Braunfels, I guess, in that part of Texas, I know there's a section there that they call hill country, um, where you do, you see some hills and things. Actually, kind of reminded me of the look and feel of some places in California. I mostly just kind of felt like I was in the West. It all felt very Western to me as opposed to Southern. So I don't know. That kind of surprised me a little bit. But New Braunfels definitely, that's definitely a nice community, nice part of Texas. So again, after we visited Blacks, the next day we tried Salt Lick, which is in Driftwood, and there again, I did have the brisket. Now, this brisket was a little bit different. I had the fatty, or actually, I had what they called their burnt ends, and their burnt ends was different from what I've expected. So, in my mind, in my history, doing brisket, burnt ends, you smoke your brisket, after you've spent 10, 12, maybe 14 hours, you know, getting it to that perfect tenderness. You the separate the point, and you take the point and you cut those. You basically you want to create what I consider to be little, beef morsels. These little cuts that after you get those cut, and then you reheat them with some barbecue sauce. Maybe you're adding some brown sugar. You're basically getting this beef to be really tender, really flavorful. That's kind of what I've always thought about with regard to burnt ends. And what was different about Salt Lick, and they even describe it as such, is they're actually trying to create burnt ends that have like a crunch. They want you to have a crunchy bark, on your burnt end. So that was new. That was different for me. It wasn't as tender as I hoped it would be. And again, I guess that's because they want to achieve that crunch, on the bark. So that was a little bit different. So I didn't come away quite as impressed with Salt Lick's brisket, but I thought their chicken was perfectly smoked. Turkey that I tried was also outstanding. Pork ribs had good flavor, not quite as tender as what I would like them to be, but they were, very good in terms of the taste. We also tried their sausage, which was outstanding. And of course, they have their own sauce. Their sauce was kind of a sweet and mild. Um, I think there was like more of a vinegar base to their sauce. Definitely, not the kind of sauce that you might typically find in California barbecue restaurants, which I think tend to have kind of a tomato or like a ketchup base. They always seem to, you can tell they're being made with some type of ketchup. Um, so it was very good. And I agree. I agree with your comment, A7. Definitely great atmosphere. I would agree with this comment. The atmosphere, the facility there at Salt Lick, outstanding. Um, Kind of what you think of, Texas barbecue. It's kind of, it's got this outdoor, really type of atmosphere, huge space, um, great atmosphere. Yeah, a little bit disappointed in terms of some of the barbecue. Again, the chicken, the turkey was outstanding. Um, but yeah, the brisket burnt ends, wasn't quite really feeling that. And again, those pork ribs were not quite as tender as I hope they would be. But um, definitely great atmosphere at Salt Lick in Driftwood. So then the next place that we went, which was really the one that we really planned the most for, and that was going to Franklin Barbecue in Austin. So, everyone knew that I wanted to, do the Franklin experience. Going in, I knew in advance that at Franklin's, they're only open for lunch. So they open at 11 a.m. And basically, once they run out of food, once they run out of meat, that's it. So typically, what I had been reading about is, again, they open at 11 in terms of when they start the lunch service. Typically, run out of food by 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So wanted to make a point of making sure that we got there, early enough to ensure that we didn't miss out. So we did get there about 4 hours. Uh, uh, Actually, it was 3 hours. We got there about 8 a.m. basically. Um, it's about an hour drive from New Braunfels, give or take a few minutes. When we got there were already about 50 people in line, so that wasn't too bad. And even though I knew we were going to be in line, for a few hours before we would eat, it really didn't feel like it. It's a really cool atmosphere. You show up there. Definitely recommend that you bring your lawn chairs. Um, so we got in line, and actually, I also did a post on my website. So if you haven't already, make sure that you also check out the website, um, backyardsmokemaster.com. Let me pull that up here. Sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already. This will help ensure that, when I do release a new video or talk about some type of a special event or anything, that you're plugged in. I know on YouTube, they don't always, push out everyone's videos. They may not necessarily show up in your feed. So definitely recommend, go to the website, sign up, get the newsletter. I'm putting them out weekly. Make sure you don't miss anything that I put out. And in addition to that, I also, let me pull this up. Let's see. So I also did a post as well about my experience at Franklin's. And I'll just kind of refer to it a little bit. But like I said, we got there 3 hours before they start. And what they do a really good job of at Franklin's is, communicating with you through the process. So you don't just feel like you're sitting out there, um, just kind of aimlessly waiting. So I think it was probably around 9 a.m. When someone from the staff at Franklin's came out and basically announced that, they were going to open up the lobby so we could go into the lobby. We could get, cool drinks, refreshments. We could also check out their souvenir shop. So that was cool. It was nice to be able to go inside. I did go in. I decided to pick up Franklin's book, picked up a t-shirt, just to help kind of pass the time. And then about an hour later, about 10 a.m., they that's when they come out and they start taking your meat orders, and they also kind of help you, get a sense of how much meat you may need to order. So that helped as well. That was pretty helpful. So right on time, 11 a.m., they did start the lunch service. So we went inside. Um, and basically the line basically then moves up to the meat counter. So when you get to the meat counter, that's where they then begin to cut your meat, in front of you. That you watch them while they chop your meat. Now we ordered think we ordered 2 pounds of brisket, and then we also ordered pork ribs. We ordered a pound of turkey as well. And then also their sausages. So they have their in house sausage. One of them is just like an original sausage. And then the other one was like a jalapeno cheddar sausage. And let's see, there were 5 of us that went. So, we just wanted to make sure we were able to sample the sausages and, or I should say, sample different meats that we had to take advantage of the opportunity. So we definitely had food to take back home. So all in all, basically, it took us about 45 minutes, once they started the lunch service to get up to the front of the meat counter line. So all in all, we waited about almost 4 hours, about 3 hours, 45 minutes, and then we were able to sit down. I was very surprised by how small it is. Franklin's, especially inside of the restaurant, not very many tables. So he's definitely keeping his operation very lean, especially considering how popular it is. So very small. They also had some benches outside, tables where you could sit and eat out on the patio as well. It was, extremely hot that day, so I was very grateful that we were able to eat inside. And I gotta say, from the moment that I first, we got up to the front of the counter and I saw the brisket, I mean, I was already impressed because you could see when they were cutting it. I mean, it is extremely tender, super tender. Like when you do a brisket, sometimes you do that. You do that bend test where you hold the brisket up like if you were holding a pencil, and you have your brisket slice of brisket on top of that pencil, and you want to see it kind of flop down on either side of the pencil. I mean, that was the most tender brisket that I had ever seen, and the taste was also incredible. Um, so I gotta say, sometimes you wonder, when you hear about things, and I've been hearing that, Franklin, he is the king of brisket, and everyone's really trying to follow his process and everything. So you wonder, okay, is this just hype, or does it really live up to it? And I gotta say that his brisket absolutely met and exceeded my expectations. The hype, all of it is very well deserved. Um, so I was super impressed with the brisket. And we also had, again, the turkey. And my wife thought that the turkey was a little bit dry, and she wasn't, blown away by the turkey. I thought it was pretty good. But I did notice that when we got back and, we ate the leftovers, I thought the turkey tasted better, later on, if that gives you any, indication on anything. Um, let's see, Wayne also mentions that, yeah, Franklin's book is very good. Yeah, I've started Franklin's book as well. And I noticed that he's really trying to take a kind of a different approach with his book, not just, giving you a bunch of recipes and you just follow the recipes. I think he's really trying to kind of like inject his life experience and his just overall approach to barbecue. At least that's what I'm picking up on, what I've read so far. Kind of the whole, because barbecue really is, it really should come from the soul, right? And I think his book does a good job of, you know, kind of giving you that context as to why, he cooks the way that he does cook. And I do appreciate that. So definitely a great book as well. Um, and he does also have a steak book. I bought the first book that he put out. I didn't buy the steak book. Um, let's see. Hey, Nate. Now, Nate, I'm going to give a special shout out to Nate. He is a fellow Berkeley High Yellow Jacket. I'm not going to say what class. He knows. Don't want to give away our age, but Nate, appreciate you joining me on the podcast. Yes, about the sides. So let me backtrack a little bit and talk about the sides. So in Texas, what I noticed, at least in Central Texas, what I noticed was a kind of a common theme through most of the restaurants that we visited is that, and Franklin even talks about it in his book, the sides are kind of an afterthought. So I would say that they're not, it's not a point of emphasis. Um, Kind of seem like kind of the same sides, are pretty much found no matter where you go. So it's going to be like mac and cheese. Um, it's going to be potato salad. It's going to be like some type of like barbecue beans, something like that. And what we were finding is they weren't that impressive either. So Franklin's, Black's, Salt Lick, we tried all three of those places. We had, different sides. None of the sides were really blowing us away. So definitely that's a little bit different in terms of, I think what we see in barbecue restaurants in California and especially in the Bay Area, I think the barbecue in California tends to be, I would say, more married or kind of like an influx of soul food with barbecue. So I think in California we'll see some sides like we'll see greens, we'll see yams, and pretty flavorful. I think we have some pretty good sides that we typically get at our barbecue restaurants in California. I think in Texas, especially Central Texas, um, they do have, I think, more of a kind of a Tex-Mex influence going on. So not really the same emphasis on sides. Um, so I'm from Berkeley, California. Uh, Pretty much grew up there. Uh, did go to school in Southern California for college and lived in Southern California for about 15 years and then returned back to the Bay Area. So I'm basically a California kid, a Bay Area guy. Um, now here I'll jump ahead. So the last place that we went to was the Burnt Bean Company in, I think it's Seguin, Texas. And what was interesting about the Burnt Bean Company is Texas. I think it's called Texas Monthly Magazine. So they have a listing of the top 50 barbecue restaurants in Texas, and I believe Franklin's was number 7 in the most recent listing that they published, and the Burnt Bean was actually ranked higher, and it was at number 5. So after we went to Franklin's, we did also go to the Burnt Bean Company. Um, they had a line as well. I think they open at 10 a.m., I believe. But they have a line, uh, not quite as long as at Franklin's, but we did have to wait a bit before we got into the Burnt Bean Company. And I did have their brisket as well. And their brisket was, I would say it was just as tender as Franklin's, but I'd have to give the edge in terms of the taste and flavor to Franklin's in terms of their brisket. Also had the um, jalapeno cheddar sausage at Burnt Bean, and again, their sausage was good. You kind of got that kick. Um, that kick kind of comes in a little bit late on you, a little snap at the Burnt Bean. So I give the edge there for the sausage also to Franklin. But I think where the Burnt Bean has the edge and probably why they were ranked higher than Franklin's is because that was the one barbecue restaurant that I visited where there was emphasis on sides, and they really do have some good sides. They have a mac and cheese that also had like hot Cheetos, um, hot Cheetos sprinkled on top, and it's just like the dusting of the hot Cheetos. You really couldn't tell that that's what it was. So it was the queso mac and cheese. That was outstanding, really good. And then they also had bacon ranch taters, and that was really, really good, really impressive as well. They serve desserts. Um, they also have some breakfast foods, and I think they might do like a brunch on the weekend as well. So I found that the burnt bean seemed to be more in line with probably what we would expect here in California in terms of just, a full service, more developed, type of menu with just a lot more offering. So in terms of the barbecue meat, I give the edge to Franklin's, but the sides, I think burnt bean was head and shoulders above, anything else that we tried in terms of the restaurants that we visited there in Central Texas. Hey, John, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate that. Let's see. And then we say people are just used to Franklin. He's the godfather. He's been so consistent for so long. So, and I think and that's really what's interesting, and he mentions that in the book as well, is consistency, right? So one thing about barbecue is, there's a ton of different ways to do the exact same thing. There's a ton of different way to do ribs, for instance. There's a big argument whether the 3-2-1 method is it the end all be all way to make sure that you have flavorful tender ribs, or is that just overkill? Spending 6 hours on ribs, overkill. So there's an argument there. There's an argument, on what's the best way to do brisket. Aaron Franklin, I believe, for his brisket, it's primarily just salt and pepper. You can do other briskets, and have all types of other different flavor combinations. So just a lot of different ways, and there's no one right way to do anything in barbecue. But the thing is that when you do find something that really works, being consistent in terms of the flavor profile, consistent in how you're cooking it, maybe the types of woods that you're using to smoke with, finding that consistency and being able to replicate it, over a period of time is really, really key, and really what makes it what, it makes a good pit master really stand out, figuring out how to be consistent with your barbecue. Hey, KB Barbecue, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Adam, this has been a truly epic episode. I appreciate that. I really enjoyed hearing about your experiences trying these iconic places. I'm sure you learned a lot. Absolutely. I absolutely learned a lot. So again, I mentioned at the top of this podcast um, that after going to Blacks and trying, a couple of other places, I was feeling pretty good about my barbecue, especially my brisket. Um, Tried Aaron Franklin's and thought, okay, I gotta step up my game even more. Hopefully I can. I think it really comes down to the patience. They are clearly smoking their brisket, I think, for a long time. Another cool thing is that uh, I got the opportunity to actually see their smoke room, and I do have a short video clip up on the YouTube channel. I think it's on my community page. I have a post there. It's just like a little 2-minute video where I got the opportunity to peek my head into their smoke room and see their big, huge. They were like 750 ton, and I think one of them was like 1,000 ton smokers. Um, just incredible, incredible to see. They use uh, just post oak wood, which that was pretty much what I expected. And really, when it comes to the wood, it really a lot comes down to, what's available in your area. So post oak is definitely plentiful in that part of Texas. So just really, was really impressed with the operation there at Franklin's. And I'll also just say, with all of the places that I went to, what I came away with is definitely, they take barbecue extremely seriously in Central Texas and probably throughout Texas. Um, because I'm seeing barbecue places, just driving along. Uh, just the number of them is probably similar to what we would see in California with just your typical, hamburger joints. I mean, they have a lot of barbecue places down there. And again, there's some restaurants there that are doing just an amazing, really incredible job. So I was really just happy that I was able to sample a few different places, and yeah, it was definitely a great experience. Definitely gave me a lot more to think about in terms of my own approach with barbecue. I mean, I'm always trying different things and trying to figure out what works and just trying to pick up tips, here and there. So I definitely got a lot of good inspiration from visiting those restaurants. Yeah, they had like a 1,000 gallon, super hot in that smoke room. I think the guy that was talking to me mentioned, when I was looking in there, they had shut them all down. So I'm just trying to imagine, what that heat was probably like. Um, during the heat of the cook. So I understand that they're basically running those things pretty much, I don't want to say 24/7, but pretty close, especially when they're trying to make sure that they have everything done and ready in time for their lunch service. So a lot of dedication, love and dedication to putting out good barbecue. Also, when we were at the Burnt Bean, um, they had crossed off on the menu. Potato salad was no longer available. I mean, we're thinking, well, gee, they've only been open for like an hour. So we did ask about it, and they said that no, the batch that we made was we thought it was too salty, so we're not going to sell it. We're just going to strike that from the menu. So again, it's that type of dedication, that I can appreciate. Sometimes, you go to different places and, you just get what you get. And they're not really that concerned about, you know, maintaining quality. Um, so just hats off to these folks, at these barbecue places, just doing a really good job and dedication to putting out um, the best barbecue that they can. So A7 says a majority of the top restaurants are using Creekstone Farms. I don't know if that's true or not. I would imagine that they are definitely trying to use high, they're sourcing high end, high meat from farms that they feel are of high quality. And I do think that that's also key. That's something that um, I've only read a little bit of Franklin's book, but he mentions, you know, trying to make sure that he's using high quality meat, wood that has been properly seasoned, and just taking care to use good high end ingredients is key. Let's see, about 110 degrees here by my. Oh, you got two briskets going. Okay, so A7 is serious about that. I'm curious if you're using a stick burner or if you're using something else. I also get the sense that you're in Texas. I think you may have left a comment indicating that you're in Texas as well. So trying to think, let's see if there was anything else that really stood out. Again, the places that I went to, I was really blown away. If you are in that Central Texas area, definitely make a point, if you've got the time to check out Franklin's Barbecue. Burnt Bean also does a great job. And Blacks as well. Salt Lake, I mean, all of them, had aspects going that definitely, will make it worth your while. The experience of barbecue in there, um, it definitely met my expectations, and I'm glad I was able to do it. Let's see. Okay, you're in the Houston area, so that's another part of Texas that I do hope to be able to experience as well, because I know that the different sections of regions in Texas, they all kind of have their own authentic or a different style, depending on if you're in Central Texas or South Texas, West Texas. I think it can all differ a bit. So that's pretty much my Central Texas experience. You can stick around here if you guys have any questions or comments. We can stick around for a while here. Happy to chit chat about anything related to barbecue if I can. Hey Chris, thanks for tuning in. Let's see. Now you said you recently went to Memphis. Oh, Memphis in May. Tried some local places to check out their rib game. Oh, very disappointed. Oh, that's interesting because Memphis is another region that I do hope to be able to experience, and I would love to go to Memphis in May. So Memphis in May. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that is where the barbecue. I want to say the World Championship is held. I might be overstating that, but I know it's like a significant barbecue championship takes place at Memphis in May. So I would love to be able to go down there and check that out. Let's see. KB says, "How are you enjoying your LSG after all this time? Do you want to go any larger?" It's a great question. Um, so I absolutely am, still thrilled with my purchase. Happy that I made the purchase of my LSG. Um, I would love to go bigger. If I had the space and the resources, the money, I would absolutely would love to be able to buy. I'd love to get a trailer. That would be like my next my next kind of dream pit would be a trailer. Um, and I would consider getting another LSG. But there are also some other fabricators out there. Shirley, would be one that I would consider. Um, I'm trying to think. Jambo would be one that I would think about as well. But yeah, love my LSG. Wish I could go larger. Maybe in the future, I'll be able to do something like that. So A7 says you can find more East Texas style barbecue joints. However, all the top 50, according to Texas Monthly, are the Central Texas style. Yeah, there did seem to be quite a few, at the top of that Texas Monthly list that seem to be in the Central Texas area. So Chris confirms that Memphis in May is a huge barbecue cook-off. Mick, the secret about Franklin's is when he wraps. Yeah, brisket he uses when he wraps brisket, he uses beef tallow for moisture. Yes. Um, I've seen that as well, and I've seen some other videos with folks using beef tallow, and I've started to use beef tallow as well when I do my brisket. I guess what I'm curious about is how much beef tallow is he using? Because I mean, mine comes out, moist where I'm thinking I did a good job, but after seeing what they're doing, I mean, man, it makes you wonder, how much beef tallow are they using when they get to that wrap? Yeah, KB says trailer. Yeah, that would be awesome. Just wish it, just wish I had some place I could keep a trailer. So Mick says the LSG 20 by 42 is all I'll ever need. Four brisket and four pork shoulders at once. Spectacular. Yeah. Yeah, trust me, I'm not complaining. I'm happy with my 20 by 42. Um, I mean, it really allowed me to experience, stick burner, using, doing barbecue offset smoker with barbecue, doing cooking with just wood splits, and I think that's the highest form, of barbecue when you're cooking with primarily with wood. Now, let me ask you, Mick, have you thought about doing like a suckling pig in your 20 by 42? Um, I know that it will fit, and it's something that I want to do and that I need to do. I need to take on like a pig. Would love to do that. So let me know. Let me know if that's something that you have thought about. All right, guys. Well, it looks like the comments are starting to slow down. So I think I will go ahead and call this a wrap. Oh, Mick says, hold on. Mick says, no way. It's just too much. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to do a pig. But I got to be honest, my wife has reservations about it. I think we could do it. We could do like a pig picking party. Do that pig, invite some folks over, just a small suckling pig. I think we could do it. A7, I appreciate you going ahead and subscribing. I appreciate the support. Chris says, the LSG Pee Wee insulated cabinet smoker. Okay, so is that something that you own, or is that something that you're thinking about getting? And now that you mention it, so that is the one type of smoker that I don't have yet. I don't have an insulated cabinet smoker, and I think that is also an awesome way to go. Where you get one that's well built, and so Chris owns it, and I bet that that's a dream to cook with, because I'm imagining that once you get that temperature locked in, it's gonna hold that temperature, and I bet you can do a whole lot of ribs, whole lot of pork butts. I think that would be awesome. Yeah, super steady temps. And Mick says, "Thank you so much. Have a great fourth, my friend." And likewise to you, Mick, and likewise to all of you. So, again, um, appreciate your support. Check out the website, backyardsmokemaster.com. Sign up for my newsletter. I wish you guys have an absolute fantastic Independence Day weekend. Take care. Get out there. Use your smokers and everything, your barbecue grills. I mean, really, the best way to really get good at barbecue is to, get out there and do it. Even if you have some reservations, some doubts about how well it's going, if you make a few mistakes, that's okay. Just, take notes, take mental notes, write down what worked, what didn't work, and then the next time you get out there, it'll be even better. So get out there and enjoy your pits. All right, guys, so I'm going to sign off. Appreciate you guys tuning in with me. Again, check me out, Backyard Smoke Master Barbecue. Check out the website. Go to YouTube, subscribe. Go to the website, subscribe to the newsletter. Keep in touch. Also, I can be found on social media, Instagram, Facebook, all the usual places. All right, have a great holiday weekend. This is Kenyatta Robinson. Take care. I'll see you soon.